All right, welcome back to the podcast. George, thank you so much for hanging out with me today.
Bruce, thank you. It's a pleasure to be here. I'm a big fan of your podcast.
Thank you. I appreciate that. We were talking before the podcast. I'm like, you know what? We're not that far away from each other. We should have did this live. Next time we do part two, I'll come into the shop and we'll do it live and we'll kind of showcase your shop a little bit. But thanks again for doing this. Give everybody like a little bit of background about what you're up to.
Yeah, so I'm George. I own and operate an independent pizzeria in Dedham, Massachusetts, a little bit outside of Boston. We're located in historic Dedham Square. Our town was founded in 1636, and we've been doing business there for over 50 years.
Wow. You've been in pizza shop for 50 years? Not
my
you, but
family.
it's like a family? Yeah.
Yeah, family.
That's crazy.
Has, yep.
How's it been going over the last couple of years?
It's been good. You know, we've definitely had some challenges, like most, I assume, with COVID-19. But we were really lucky because we had a strong delivery business set up prior to the pandemic. So, you know, that accounts for about 55 to 60% of our business. So we were ready to go. And we helped the community, and in turn, it was pretty special.
So my wife's Greek. You're Greek. Your family, did your your parents start the business or your grandparents, or how did that work out?
Yeah, so we actually just did an article with PMQ a couple weeks ago regarding that. We were on their 50-year Hall of Fame. So, and I found out some information I didn't know about. The restaurant was originally called Dino's Restaurant. It was in the Dedham Plaza, which is at a different location than we are now. And it was started by my uncle Dino, my grandfather's brother.
Okay.
It was sold after that to a second owner, and my father and my mother were the third owners.
Oh, nice. Did they come over from Greece?
My dad is what we say FOB, fresh off the boat. Yeah. But
my wife's parents too. It's interesting to see like how they have like that immigrant mentality where, you know, nothing stops them. They're just going to figure it out.
Yeah, just keep going.
I love that. And so let me ask you this. So being in the New England area, I don't know if our listeners are going to be super familiar with what I'm about to say, but like, is it a roast beef pizza shop or is it just a pizza shop?
No, so we're kind of South Shore, I guess you would say.
Yeah.
So you know, the North Shore is famous for their roast beef and whatnot, and that doesn't really catch on here.
No.
So we're just traditional, you know, pizza, calzones, dinners, subs, sandwiches, salads, all that good stuff.
And is it like a traditional pan pizza, the way the Greeks do it?
Yeah, it's a traditional Greek style pan pizza.
So in New England, if I can explain this to people who are listening, like in New England, I don't know why it didn't catch on other places. There must be a really big, I don't know if it's a Greek culture that started pizzerias / roast beef shops like in the 60s, 70s, 80s, but pan pizza, the way we have it here, we call it Greek pizza. It's like a pan pizza that you would serve in like a round pan. So it's not Detroit style, it's not grandma. It's like its own unique thing. And I actually like it a lot, but I grew up kind of going to places around here because there's so many of them.
Right. Yeah, so I always thought people always referred to it as Greek pizza.
Yeah.
But when I started traveling, I went to the pizza convention in Vegas. Apparently, the rest of the country calls it New England pan style pizza.
Do they really?
Yeah. So.
Well, I'm gonna still call it Greek pizza because that's what I'm used to calling it. Like we got to take some credit for that.
Yeah, we sure do.
I've never heard of it. I've never heard of it called New England style pan pizza. That's interesting. I had never heard of that too.
Yeah. I went to a few seminars, and that's how they referred to it. So it kind of stuck in my mind.
That's interesting. Yeah. So do you go to the Pizza Expo? What do you think of
that? So I went. I felt kind of stagnant in the job at one point, and shortly after COVID, I'm like, I have to do something to kind of generate some new ideas. And I've always known about the Pizza Expo, and I went down there, and I got a lot of insight. I thought it was pretty cool. What I would like to see more in the future is kind of more technology, coming in. But
they're a little bit old. They're a little bit old school too, like old school ideas, which is good. Those all still work, but it's like the times. So how have you worked in the business your whole life?
Yeah, so I'm 36 years old, Bruce, and I know it might sound a little unbelievable, but my dad had me in there at 8 years old.
Helping him play. I believe it.
So I spent my whole life in there, but like really full time, like since 17.
Yeah, so you've seen changes in the pizza industry because you've been in it your whole life, but I'd say the last 7-8 years, they moved 10 times faster than the previous 20.
Oh, for sure.
You know, with the internet, technology, social media, AI, POS systems, the way people interact with the internet, so much different now than the first 20 years you were probably in the pizzeria was probably the same for the first 20 years. It was like we just do the same thing every day.
I know it's crazy. Sometimes I take a step back when I'm at work and I'm looking around and I say, wow, I can't believe how things have changed. I remember this, I remember that, and it's a blessing. It's nice.
You become the older person in the shop, and you work with a lot of young people, and you're like, you know what? When I was your age, we used to do it this way. We had tickets. We used to put them up top. You know, if the ticket fell, you'd miss the order. It was just explaining it. They're like, what kind of technology did you guys have back in the old Stone Age?
I find myself saying that a lot to the youngins. So,
yeah. Do your parents still work in the business, or you just totally take over?
Totally took over. My mom kind of just helped my dad. She owned a franchise Dairy Queen, so she had multiple Dairy Queens. The whole family's been in the food business forever. And Dad, it was kind of his own thing. With the help of Mom and my sisters and I, we helped out after school and in the summers and whatnot. But he retired about 15 years ago. He was diagnosed with Parkinson's disease, and it kind of
sorry to hear that.
thank you. So it kind of forced me in there. It took me out of what I went to school for, and I'm happy that it did, to be honest, because I love what I do.
Do you like it? Like, you enjoy it still?
Well, I'm sure that every pizzeria owner will tell you the same thing, and through your memes, I think we're all on the same page. I love it overall. When things are good, I love it.
Yeah.
But there are other times that it's really tough. Think about selling. But it's a love-hate relationship, I think.
There's a lot of good and bad that come with owning a pizzeria. Like, I put a meme out there, and somebody said, I think it was like something about the weekend, right? Where people are like, hey, what are your plans this weekend? And it was like, we don't have plans this weekend. Like, we work all weekend. And then somebody commented, yeah, but the alternative is if you have a 9 to 5, you got to ask for permission to have off, which is true. So I guess you could see the good in all the bad. Everything that happens to us, it's stressful, it's annoying, it's hard, but there's also a lot of good that come with owning a pizzeria. So I just want to put that out there.
Yeah, I agree with you. Definitely.
But it is hard. It is challenging, especially like if you are a single owner. Sometimes there's like nobody to bounce ideas off of or talk to because like your managers or your employees aren't, I don't want to say this and have it come off the wrong way, but they don't have the same level of responsibility that you do with the final decision. So it's hard to like have them make a decision. To them, it's like, oh, let's just order extra inventory. I don't care. But then you're like, shit, I got to pay for that. Like that has to come out of my bank account at the end of the week. So it's easier said than done.
Yeah, I feel that. I can relate to them because, when my parents weren't in, I was working closely with them. I had many ideas and whatnot, and they kind of fall by the wayside. They didn't want to really implement them, and I didn't feel valued. So I see how difficult it could be if you don't have stake in the game and it's not yours.
It is true because I went from manager to owner, and I realized that real quick. It's almost like, to put an analogy on it, it's like, you don't really understand what it's like to be the owner until you're the owner. You can imagine, you can know, or you can think of what it's like, but until it's actually your turn, it's like what they say the president, right? Like all the presidents, people who run for president, they always say these things. I'm going to do this when I become president. I'm going to do this when I become president. When I become president, I'm going to implement this law. And then like they become president, and every single one of them is the same. And it's like, what happened? Yeah. You said you're going to do all this stuff, and nothing happened. It's like, well, you don't really know what it's like to be the president until you actually the president.
Ain't that the truth?
So it's hard. I understand that. Is it hard to work? Like, what did you have to do? Because I'm sure your dad was kind of old school, right? Like, did you have to like bring it all up technology-wise, POS systems, all that stuff? Yeah,
so I was lucky. He was pretty, even being an old school guy, he kind of like was open to change. Okay. So in 2005, we brought in like online ordering. We brought in a POS system. We stopped taking orders on paper. We brought in credit card processing. It was only cash before that.
Oh, wow.
In 2010, I kind of modernized the whole place, gave it a facelift, did it again during COVID. So he was real kind of supportive, hesitant at first, but when he saw the outcome after, he was really supportive.
That's good. That's good that he supported you in doing that. You were guys ahead of the curve. 2005 was pretty early to do that.
I remember at the time I was in college, and he would call me up, and he's like, "Come get these computers. I'm throwing them out on the sidewalk." He's like, "I don't want them in here anymore."
That's crazy. Who do you guys use for that? Was it the same company since then?
Yeah, we use Food Tech Solutions out of Needham, Mass. So they bordered Dedham.
I know them pretty well.
Bruce, they're fantastic.
Yeah,
fantastic.
They're a little expensive, so they are on the expensive side when it comes to point of sale systems. But they have a ton of features. I know features like the drivers. Like you do delivery. Do you use like the delivery feature where you can have the app and the drivers track them?
I couldn't do it without it.
Yeah. I think food tech solution, and this is going to probably get me in trouble with other people, but I think, if you can afford it, it's probably one of the best. If you're a delivery takeout place, maybe not a dine-in place, but if you're a delivery takeout place, it's probably the best point of sale system. It is expensive, though, but it does everything. Email, tracking, it does reporting, it does all of it.
It is expensive, but it's worth it. Like you said, it does it all. Their loyalty rewards program, their target marketing, everything's kind of under one house, and it helps us tremendously. It's incredible.
Yeah, I remember using Target Market all the time. We did it in 2000. I think we got food tech. We had rapid fire system in 1999, which was like the pen that you pushed the screen and it had a light on it. Yeah. And then we switched to 2000. We switched to food tech. We got food tech in the year 2000, and we started taking online orders and everything. Then it was like this is amazing. And it just grew from there. Andrew, the guy who owns food tech, I think he's partner or owner of food tech.
He is. It's him and his brother Billy Vasily. He's they're good guys.
Yeah, they're it's a good system. So go check that out. What about marketing wise? So is there a lot of competition in where you are?
Yeah. So if I were to count, which I haven't, but if I were to kind of think off the top of my head, in a 3-mile radius, there is probably more than 15 restaurants, pizzerias, chains that sell pizza.
That's crazy.
I know, it's nuts.
So those are all your competition because they're all probably doing delivery, right? So how do you separate yourself?
In many ways, I'd say. So we just, I'm not scared to reinvest. I think of the business as a flower. If you nurture it, if you water it, if you take care of it, it will grow, right? A lot of people, they just like to book their profits. So what I like to do is I like to reinvest. I like to reinvest in technology. I use food tech's incentives to kind of use email marketing and target marketing to get my message out there. We never sacrifice on quality. I'm very strict. If I see somebody making a sandwich, in the wrong way, we'll go over there, nicely correct them. We focus on quality, consistency. Never sacrifice the quality of products, even with the rising cost of goods. Try to get the deliveries out there quick. We use technology to keep our food hot. We have hot bags that we plug in. And I try to give an exceptional service. When you come into our store, you're going to be greeted when you're coming in. You're going to be greeted when you leave. You're going to find a clean atmosphere. Everything's going to look really professional. So when you come in, you're going to feel like you deserve to kind of be here. Like this is the spot where you want to get your food.
Yeah, it's hard. It's hard to separate yourself from the competition. It's easy to say, but it's hard to execute on.
Yeah.
Everybody says the same thing because I'll post something and I'll be like, hey, how do you make your business different? Everybody kind of says the same thing, which is the right thing, but then getting people to actually do it and follow through is hard.
Yeah, for sure. For sure.
Where what's the percentage of takeout for you guys? Is it all takeout? Do you have any dine-in?
So we're about, I'd say, to make the numbers easy, 60% delivery. We're about 20% takeout, maybe a little bit more, and 20% dine-in. But
and do you have all your own drivers?
We have all our own drivers, but we also do have third-party systems. We have Uber Eats, DoorDash, and Grubhub, and Slice. Those are for usually our customers who are kind of out of our delivery range. Yeah. But like Friday night, tomorrow night, I'll have 6-7 drivers on. Wow. And coming up Halloween, it's the busiest day of the year for us. We'll have I'm pulling everybody out of retirement. Yeah. I said I need all 10 of you guys.
Yeah, I remember Halloween was crazy. It's only crazy from 4 to 7 though, right?
Yeah, yep, 3 to 7, 3 to 8, somewhere around there.
Everybody wants the pizza before they go out. They're calling you delay pre-order in. You have 500 pre-orders for everybody wants it at 4 o'clock.
I don't know how I'm going to get everybody their food at 4 o'clock, but we'll find a way.
I remember those days, but that's super interesting. So how do you like the third parties? When did you start to bring those people on, and how's it been going since?
Yeah, I was always against it. I kind of thought these companies were kind of going to, take business away from us. Yeah. I always kind of had a negative view on it. I think a lot of business owners do. Definitely. Because, at the end of the day, they have all your customers' information, their phone number, their email address, their address, and, they can kind of market them and push them to certain businesses. However, I found that our customers, they stayed with us. They used our website. They used our mobile app. And the people who are using those third parties are are people who are a little bit outside of our delivery range. But it's treated us well. It brought a significant amount of business to us. I would recommend it to anybody. And what I do, because I hear a lot of business owners, talking about the fees and the expenses incurred by having them, I just jacked up all my prices on their site by 35%.
Yeah.
So, if the customer wants, they could pay a little extra to use one of them, or you could get a discount by still using us.
So it's ultimately for you, it's the same income.
Yeah.
That's great. That's a smart way to do it. They used to not let you do that, didn't they?
I kind of got in the game late, so it might have been like that early on, but right now, yeah.
I think maybe the pushback from owners.
Probably. And Bruce, when I brought them all in, we had all the tablets set up in a separate printer for each one of them, and it's dinging left and right. And it was very challenging because I had to put together, separate reports at the end of the week for each system, and then send it to my accountant to kind of, put everything together. But over the years, I found a company that kind of integrates everything through Food Tech. So when you order, I don't have any tablets, I don't have any printers. The order comes right out of our regular printer, and it goes straight into our income statement, balance sheet, cash flow. It's all there. So
what's the name of that company?
It's a Checkmate.
Okay, I remember. Go ahead.
There's a few others, but that's the one that kind of works best for me.
That's interesting because I thought Food Tech wasn't open source. I thought they kind of fought that and they kind of wanted to keep everything in house. Is that something new for them?
I think I just really pushed them.
Yeah, good.
So yeah, I don't know if they offer for everyone, but
that's good. I mean, you need to push and be aggressive sometimes. I think I just talked to somebody. So I've been doing these marketing kind of reviews podcasts, and I did one yesterday that's not out yet, but he has Toast, which is another popular point of sale company, and he was talking about email marketing, and he uses Toast email for people who order online, and then he uses MailChimp or something else for people who sign up on his website. And I'm like, dude, you got to tell Toast, let me import these emails to this because there's no sense in sending two different emails for people. He's like, well, Toast doesn't do that. I'm like, well, push him. It's not hard to let. You're not asking him to come up with a whole new system. You just ask him to do one thing. Like you said, you got to figure it out for me. Like, I'm a business owner, giving you a lot of business. I need you to do this. They can figure it out. Anything is figure-outable.
They're a huge company. They should be able to do it.
Yeah, so I'm glad you did that because that must have been a nightmare to have all those tabs everywhere.
Yeah, absolutely.
So does Food Tech kind of separate it out and let you run a report that says where the orders came from?
I could run any report I want. Yeah,
that's great.
Break it down to DoorDash, Uber Eats, to Grubhub, and put it all together, separate it. I got pie charts, bar charts, really everything. If I look at the reports that are offered to me on a daily basis, there's close to 100 of them. Some of them I don't even know what they are. Yeah,
I remember those days. What's the how many orders from those companies are coming in on a daily basis?
We do about 400 customers a day, and I'd say probably like 45 are coming from third party. So
that's a good percentage that are discovering you through that. Like, are those people who didn't know who you are?
I'm sure that some of them may have known who we are, but they also offer a loyalty rewards program. So I think people who shop around and they get food, they do a lot of takeout. They use Uber Eats to get their points, so they can shop at other places as well.
Yeah, I find my kids. I don't know. Do you have any kids?
Not yet.
All right, so I have teenagers, and they kind of use Uber Eats and DoorDash, even though I kind of tell them not to. They don't listen to me. They're teenagers. But they use it to, they don't know what they want to eat. They just go on there to search for stuff. So it's not like they want pizza. It's like they want to get something to eat tonight. It's almost like a variety of menu items that they can choose from. That's how they use it. So I'm sure that's how other people use it too. You got to just pop
Absolutely.
up.
Yep, you do.
Yeah.
And part of that is, making sure that you have quality photographs.
Yeah.
A few years ago, 2 years ago, actually, January, I introduced self-ordering kiosks in our location.
Oh, did you really?
Yeah, so
you are ahead of the curve.
Yeah, so we have two huge computer screens, 26 inches or so. They're set up on a nice table with receipts, Apple Pay, Touch to Pay, and I had somebody come out and professionally photograph every single item, right down to the lettuce, the pickles, the hot peppers that go on the sub.
Really?
Yeah, so if you go to our website too, you'll be able to see that everything is photographed. It looks really nice, right down to our, our drinks. I had representatives from Coca-Cola in China reach out to me to compliment me on the website.
Really?
And we're a flagship store for them, so they were really happy to see that their products photographed on our site.
Can I share your website on the screen here? Do you mind?
No, absolutely. Go ahead.
All right, so I'm going to pull it up here as you can see it. But that's awesome because I was just doing another one yesterday. Not the same people, different one of those menu or marketing reviews. And their website didn't have anything that was from their menu. I was like,
yeah,
if someone orders
tough.
these pizzas, are they going to get this? And they're like, no. I'm like, why would you put it on your website?
Yeah.
Yeah,
No, this is what you're getting from us. Yeah.
That's smart because like the people online don't know. They just want this. And if they get something different, they're going to be like, well, what the heck is this?
They don't, and you'll see the chicken pesto there. So I added that onto the menu to celebrate National Pizza Month. So I had to take a quick photo. It doesn't match the quality of the other ones, but when I have some time, I'll definitely correct it and make it a high res image.
Yeah, but you can still it looks good. It looks good, and it's like, all right, that's what I'm going to get if I order that. So
right,
it'll look similar to what they're getting. It's like when someone gets kind of deceived, you know.
Yeah, absolutely.
But that's great. I love that you did that. That's a smart move because people want to see what they're going to get on that. I love the kiosk too. As somebody who likes kiosks, like Walgreens, I hate going to Walgreens because they don't have kiosks. My wife loves Walgreens, and I'm like, I'm not going in. Every time I go into Walgreens, there's like 10 people in line for some reason. And I'm like, I'm waiting 20 minutes. Let me just check out myself real quick. I'm getting a pack of gum. I just want to go get in and out. I love the fact that you did that. People can just come in, order, and then just wait.
Yeah, so they come in, they order on the kiosk, and the kiosk will never, a cashier or an employee will forget to upsell. The kiosk, the computer is never going to forget to upsell. They're going to ask you if you want that drink. They're going to ask you if you want that bag of chips. It will print out. It will give them a receipt. It will tell them about 10, 15 minutes, and we'll call it right out for them when they're ready.
That's awesome.
And
can people pick up their order too?
We haven't gotten to that level yet. I think that involves a little bit more logistics and infrastructure, but I think that's coming in the future.
It's hard too because someone would have to be a little bit more savvy to figure out how to find their order and then pay for it. But I guess you could just swipe.
Right. I was nervous, Bruce, because it was a significant investment, right? And I'm like, are people going to use this? Is it just going to be the young generation? So we brought it in the first month. We had 50 users, and I'm like, oh, this isn't going to work out. And slowly but surely, we're up to like 600, 700 users a month. So that's like 2 days of not taking customers.
Yeah. So if you do 10, 15 a day, that's going to save you, each order that you take manually, it's got to be 5 minutes, right?
Yeah, on average, probably like 2.5, 3 minutes or so.
Yeah, so it's probably saving
if they're paying with a credit card.
Yeah, at least an hour a day of someone standing there they could do something else. Same thing with like dough balls. People always ask if dough rollers or rounders are worth the time or you should always do it by hand. I'm like, dude, if you're doing like pizza for volume, they're way worth the investment because you could do 5 batches of dough and roll it in 2 hours, whereas before you did 5 batches of dough, it's like 3-4 hours.
Yeah, we do about 4 or 5 batches of dough in a 60-quart mixer every day, and it's all by hand. And I definitely want a rounder, but I have absolutely no space, space to put it.
Yeah, yeah. Where do you make the dough in the back, like in the back room?
Yeah, so we have about a 1,800 square foot, space. We have a basement. Our mixers in the back room. We have, our huge stainless steel countertop with our dough flattener machine from Somerset. And we run everything back there. There's about 3 people making pizzas from 9 a.m. to probably like 1.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Wow. So where do you make dough? Because we had a roller and it wasn't super big. It was smaller than like a regular table.
Oh, is that right?
So well, yeah, it was like I think it was like maybe 1.5 feet, 2 feet wide, 5 feet long. It wasn't the round. It wasn't like the one that you put it in it like whoop, whoop, whoop around. It was more you drop the dough in the top, and then you kind of rounded it up and shot it out.
Okay. Yeah. I've seen those.
Big. Yeah, it worked really good.
Yeah, I mean, our back counter is probably about like 15 feet long, and the 60-quart Hobart is to the left of it, and then they're like hand sinks to the left of that. So and the stairs to the basement are right after that. So there's just no way. I just need a bigger space. I need a bigger store.
What have you ever thought about moving locations or a second location or anything like that?
Yeah, so I'd like to answer both those questions. Right now, we rent, right? So it's not our building. We do put a significant amount of funds into it to kind of like bring it up to par. But having my own building is kind of like one of my ultimate goals. Because when you have that, you provide generational, wealth for your family, and you have something like that. It's your own. You can invest more in it. As for a second location, I always thought about it, but when you run a busy shop like the one we have, it's definitely going to be difficult to kind of focus my efforts in another place.
Yeah.
When I went to the Las Vegas Food Show, 2021, the Pizza Expo, I should say, I went to a couple seminars. My focus was on education. And there were a lot of independent owners who were standing up, and they said, hey, our store made this amount of money this year. And everybody was standing up, giving them a standing ovation, clapping. And I'm like, I should be the superstar in here. I'm like, I did 3 times that amount in sales last year. So it's if you focus on one shop, you could kind of make the efforts of 3 in one.
I agree. Sometimes when you're in this business, depending on how long you've been in it, a question I just asked you. Everybody always asks you ever think about a second location? I don't know why that's like the default question to ask somebody who owns one, but it's the default question. And it doesn't have to be your goal. Like you said, if you can make that store as busy as you possibly can, way less work to get one store to do $2 or $3 million a year. If you have the right amount of community in the right area versus 2 stores doing $1.5 million with double the headaches.
Right. Yeah, I'm looking for less headaches.
Yeah, definitely. It's funny you say that too about the Pizza Expo, because there are a lot of speakers there that are like newer, which is fine. But sometimes they need to expand the speaker roster to find other people who are doing different stuff. They're all kind of the same, I think that's one of the flaws of the Pizza Expo in Vegas, is that it's kind of the same show every single year.
For sure.
They should have guys like you who are doing. I mean, how many? I don't know if you're comfortable saying it. If you're not, don't worry about it. We'll cut it out. But how much do you do a year in sales?
Yeah, we're probably close to 3.
That's great. For how many square feet is your place?
16 to 1800.
That's unbelievable.
It's nuts.
And you don't have any alcohol, right?
We have beer and wine, but that really doesn't generate a lot of revenue for us.
Yeah, because you see some of these restaurants, and they're like, yeah, we do $5 million a year in sales, but they're a sit-down restaurant with an average ticket of $150 and a full liquor license.
Bruce, it's truly impressive. There's a lot of communication. There's a lot of behind, watch out, hot coming through. We're in a tight quarters, and I've really contemplated lately about kind of cutting the dining room in half, given that it's only 20% of our business. If I, instead of seating for 40, if I could do seating for 15, 20, and I could utilize that space to put a dishwasher and some other machinery that's going to help us be efficient and effective. Yeah, dough roller. There were a couple other ones. Go ahead.
Yeah. Do you do a lot of dine-in?
Not really.
No. Yeah.
No.
Especially since 2020, I'm sure, right?
Right. Yeah. We have the courthouses across the street, registry of deeds, law library. So when there's a case, the dining room is full. When there's jury duty, we're full. But and then Friday nights is busy, the weekends. But we don't really get a lot of people dining in.
Oh, that's interesting. Do you have a desire to speak at events?
I would love to. Yeah.
Or maybe I can make that happen for you. We'll talk after the podcast is over.
Thank you.
Yeah, because I think you have a good story. You are doing $3 million a year in sales with just pizza, salads, subs in a location your size. I know. So our store did $1.5 million but this was 20 years ago. And
that's a busy store.
Yeah, we were doing $6,000, $7,000, $8,000 Fridays.
Yeah, that's nuts.
And we had 12 to 15 delivery drivers on a Friday night. And I can only, but our store was twice the size of yours. We had space, so it wasn't like it was a tiny space. So I know what it's like to do $3 million in sales in a small space. You're always going. There's no downtime.
There's no downtime.
Yeah, you're always going. There's never a point where you'd be like, all right, let's take a break for a second. You're always going.
My girlfriend calls me every once in a while. She says, "Did you have time to have lunch today?" I'm like, "Lunch? What's that?"
Yeah, you got to like grab something as you go,
Yeah.
because that's the only way to do it. That's cool, man. So how are you? So how did you guys get so busy? Has it just been word of mouth, or are you doing social media? Or I know you said you do email marketing. What else have you done?
Yeah, so social media, we've been on Facebook and Instagram since kind of 2005 or shortly thereafter.
Do you do that, or do you have somebody do it?
No, I do it. Yeah.
Good.
And most recently, my girlfriend Dean has been very, very supportive. She's been helping me. She has a career. She's a publicist. So she's kind of been like, giving me, the ins and outs, and she's been helping a lot, and it's really helped.
That's good. Do you see the area like? Are you, because most pizza shops that have been around for a long time have no social presence.
I'm shocked.
They don't have anything. Yeah, they just don't do it. I don't know why.
No
They don't,
website, no social presence. It's truly shocking.
I'm surprised they still get business. I'm like, I don't know how you managed to get business. I could see 5 or 6 years ago you being able to get away with it, but today, I don't know how they do it.
No way. Yeah, we're trying to push into video reels right now. Those 15-second, 30-second reels. I don't know where we find the time to do this all, given how busy we are. But it keeps the mind sharp, and it keeps you looking forward to do something different instead of the same thing over and over again.
Yeah, makes you have a little bit of fun.
Right.
Do you like it? Like, do you like doing social media?
My favorite kind of is behind the scenes. Marketing, advertising. Financials, looking at the books. That's kind of what I really like about the job. Yeah. Coming up with innovative ideas. I worked. I tried to start a small business consulting group right before COVID. I was traveling to some places throughout the U.S., kind of giving old school guys my take of things, showing them what worked for us, what didn't work for us. But it's tough to get those guys on board.
Yeah. How did they find you, or how did you get to how did those people discover what you did? Was it probably through food tech or something like that?
It was just kind of word of mouth in the Greek community. I'd reach out to people I knew who had restaurants, and I'd ask them kind of can you give me 5 names of your family members who have restaurants in the U.S., and then I'd reach out to them.
Yeah, that's smart.
Kinda
You
like,
need to get up to date.
Right, kind of like selling insurance,
Yeah. You'd fly out to them and just kind of give them what would you go through their restaurant and say, all right, this is what I do. Just kind of give them the tips and strategies that you use in your restaurant.
So we would do something similar to what you and I are doing first. I think at the time I was using Skype. We'd have a conversation. I'd see if they wanted to work with me, if I wanted to work with them, because there's a lot of people you don't want to work with, Bruce. When it comes down to it.
That's why I stopped doing marketing for people. To be honest with you.
So you kind of get, face to face, you kind of get an impression of if this person is willing to make the changes they need to be able to be successful. So, I'd handpick those people, we'd go over some pricing structure. I'd come out and do an analysis for you. I'd fly out. It was just starting to pick up, and then the pandemic hit, which kind of put an end to things. So
maybe that's something that you could pick up again, though. I feel like there's a need for it now.
Sure.
Everybody's kind of it's been 3 years. Everybody's kind of, the people who survived the last 3 years probably are going to be around for a little bit, and they're looking to make sure that if something like that ever does happen again, hopefully it doesn't,
right.
But they don't get closed down if it does.
Yeah, absolutely.
There's a lot of people out there who run a business, and they're I always say, nobody really has their shit together. I mean, we're all trying to just figure this out. Even if it looks like you have your shit together, behind the scenes, you're always kind of worried about something. You always have to figure out something, or you don't know every aspect of all businesses. There's a lot of businesses out there that are just kind of winging it, which is surprising.
I know, I see that. For many years I thought that I wanted to get out. So I have the store up for sale, and guys who were coming in who were interested in purchasing the place, they were guys in their mid-50s or their early 60s who had put a few bucks aside over the years, right? And they came in thinking that they were going to hire a manager to run the place, and they were just going to reap the profits, kind of a thing. Yeah. And when they saw how hands-on that my family was and how busy it was, they kind of, they headed for the hills.
Yeah, it's not easy. It's definitely not easy. It can't be if you can learn the ins and outs, though. So you have a lot of experience because you've been doing it for a long time, and it helps to have a busy store, right? Because when you have a busy store, those things that others take years to figure out come at you fast. There's a lot of things happening in a store that does $3 million a year in 1 year that maybe a store that does $500,000-600,000 a year. It takes them 5 or 6 years to figure out. So you have experience because you've been doing it for so long and at such a high volume that there's something to share there with other people,
right?
For sure.
Yeah, and I'm open to sharing too. So
yeah, it must have been funny for you to go to the Pizza Expo and like hear people speak and be like, "Yeah, I do $750,000 a year in sales at my pizza shop." And okay,
I was really happy for them though, because it is a huge accomplishment.
Yeah.
But they will make it to the next step. That 750 will hit $1 million one time, and then hopefully you make 1.2. But it was definitely awesome to see them succeeding. But for someone who was in a situation like myself, it was a little comical, I guess.
It's hard because like you are in a unique situation. You are a busy restaurant, so it's like, all right, do I take advice from this person? They may have something to share. I'm not saying that people who only do those volumes don't have anything to share that's valuable, that hasn't worked for them, or it is working for them that you couldn't take in your business. But it's hard to, that's the hard thing about the internet is everybody has a voice, and it's hard to understand who you should listen to and who you shouldn't listen to, or what the validity of what they're saying, and if you should really go use that in your business, because there are a lot of people out there who give advice, and you're like, like, if you know about the advice they're giving, you're like, that's not good advice. That's terrible advice.
Yeah.
But nobody else really knows that, only you, because you've experienced it. It's funny. What's the future for you? What do you want to do next?
So I guess I have a couple goals. When you mentioned the second location, I am interested in the second location. However, not the same concept, which I'm running now. When I heard those speakers in Vegas, I took a lot from them. A lot of them are working with like Detroit pizza, Neapolitan-style, all sorts of different things. They have a very challenging job because they're offering a multiple variety of different types of pizza. So their efforts are constantly making sure the quality control is on them. But I have a strong interest in the wood fire Neapolitan-style place. So I'd like to open up something like that with kind of like a full bar, 2 or 3, menu items with pastas and gourmet salads and things like that. But I definitely like to branch off into Neapolitan. Something simple, no delivery, sit down only.
Where would you do that? In the same area you're in?
Kind of in the neighboring, Needham, Walpole, Westwood, Dedham, Hyde Park, Rosendale, somewhere around here.
Yeah, good area because it's kind of close to the city. So if someone goes to Boston, it doesn't take long to get out to your area.
Right, and I can get there in a half an hour, notice if there's an emergency, if I need to take care of something.
I like that too because your model is a lot of stuff. It's busy and hectic. It's hard to manage and prep and all that. But I like, if I was to open a new store, and I've said this multiple times in the podcast, I'd like a simpler version of something. Not like the pizzeria I owned or you owned, it sounds like, which is very similar, which is like hundreds of menu items.
It's a lot.
I think I'd do what you want to do. Maybe just one style of pizza. I would probably do like New York slices because that's what I like. And just maybe a tiny slice shop. That's what I would like to do. But I don't know if that would fly around here because it's so cold in the wintertime.
It is, and it would have to be somewhere where there's a lot of walking traffic. You'd have to be in the middle of downtown, the financial district or somewhere. Which
would be super expensive, I'm sure, because Boston's not cheap.
I know.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's cool, man. So where can people go follow you or say hello? You gave some tons of information. I do want to do a next time we talk, which we should do another one because it's probably a ton we could talk about more. I'll come into your shop. We'll do it live. Although it sounds like you're so busy, I don't know if I'd be able to kind of hang out anywhere.
We can make time to make it happen.
I'll put an apron on. I know what I'm doing.
So I guess, Instagram, Dedham House of Pizza on Instagram is kind of our go-to right now. We're putting a lot of our content on there, pictures of our food, exciting things that we have upcoming. We're on Facebook too, for those of you who are still on Facebook, at Dedham House of Pizza. And if you're a patron or a customer in the area, sign up for our rewards program on our website or download our mobile app for app incentive coupons only to help save.
Yeah, and Dedham is spelled, for those who are going to search, Dedham.
That's right.
It's spelled a little different than we say it. But so the House of Pizza thing, is that a New England thing or is that a everywhere thing?
I'm not sure. I've only seen it in New England.
Yeah,
and it's when you tell someone that you own a House of Pizza or a pizza house, they kind of like, they don't give it the credit it deserves, right? They're like, oh, this guy's got a hole in the wall kind of shop. Yeah. Looking back on it, I wish I could kind of change the name. I feel like that would be like beneficial for us, but because we're so set in stone in the community, we're going to remain as the House of Pizza.
I think you're past that point now, right? Because you've been in business for so long that people probably know you. You don't need to change the name. because you
Right.
built up a reputation. But at
Yeah,
your next spot, you won't do that. I wonder if the House of Pizza thing was that somebody, like one person who started all the House of Pizzas, or is it just if you got there first in that town?
Yeah, I think it's if you got there first in that town, and I think that at one point there was like an initiative amongst the Greek and Italian business owners to kind of like consolidate the houses of pizza, kind of like California Pizza Kitchen, and then take it public.
Yeah.
I think that was kind of the idea for them. But it's a lot of hard-headed guys in the same room trying to make a decision. It's not going to happen.
That's totally right. That's probably like a lot of. I would love to have been in those meetings as a
No,
bystander
nuts.
watching. It probably would have been funny. Awesome, man. George, thank you so much for joining me on the podcast. We'll link all that up in the show notes as well, but I appreciate you taking the time. Don't go anywhere yet, but thank you again.
Thank you, Bruce. Thank you.